Oh, hello. Welcome back. My name is Alyssa, and if you're new here, we use this page to talk about all things conscious consumption, thrifting, sustainable living. So if you're into that too, subscribe and stick around. So today we got my notebook, and we have a few sustainable habits and things overall that have completely changed my life. And I'm gonna be honest, there was like a lot of things I could include on this list, so let me know below the things that have changed your life that are sustainable habits, because I really narrowed it down, but I would still like to know if maybe we have some of the same things. So let's get into it. Number one was making my reusable products more accessible. So the example I'm going to use for this is my rags. I still always keep one roll of paper towels on hand just in case, but they don't get used very often. And that's because I keep them in a harder to reach place, whereas all of my rags are in a very easy to reach place under my sink. Because oftentimes in our everyday situations, we try to choose convenience. So moving all my reusable products into the most convenient spots for me is what helps me always choose them first. Because if I gotta get up on a step stool and get my paper towels down, I'm going to have to really want them and really need them. And this also goes with things like reusable bags. Instead of keeping them in the house and trying to remember to put them in the car before grocery shopping, I literally just leave them in the car. But that kind of brings me to number two, which is using 2 laundry baskets as my grocery shopping bags. Come on, come up here. Hello. Oh my goodness. So nice of you to join us. Come on, we can talk about sustainable habits together. Thank you. I keep trying to talk and he keeps like making these huffing noises. Oh my gosh, you're being really vocal today. This is Otis, if you are meeting him for the first time. He also made a lovely appearance in my last video, and I had to sit on him because he wouldn't move. Back to what I was saying, once a month I go to Costco, and then about every week I go to a local grocery store to get things like produce, fill-in products, etc. And when I do these grocery runs, I have 2 laundry baskets that I keep in the back of the car. And when I check out, I just put all the groceries back in the cart, and then go out to the car and dump them all in a basket, and I get it inside with one trip every single time. And it's so great because you can fit so much in the baskets, and I'm a one-trip gal. I was the type of kid growing up where my mom was like, help me bring in the groceries, and I would get all the like intense lines on my fingers from picking up as many bags as possible. So this is just like my adult version of that. I have to get it in one trip. It's totally great. I highly recommend it, and it drastically helps me avoid using plastic bags. Number 3 is composting. So I was afraid of composting for a really long time because it felt really difficult until I realized it's just not. The best thing about composting is that if you make a mistake, you can just fix it. And typically the mistake is obvious. So for example, if I have too many food scraps in there, I might accumulate some type of gnat or fly, and all I do is add more paper. I personally use a compost tumbler. That's what works best for me. I very much like keeping my compost outside. The compost tumbler is very clean and it's super easy. Just every time I add new food scraps to it, I turn it. And I think what I like about composting so much is that there's like little weird benefits to it. Number 1, you're making your own compost for things like gardening, but 2, there's little added benefits. Like if I leave my house for a few days, I'm not worried about taking out the trash right away because there's nothing rotting in my trash. All of my food is in my composter. So I also have to take out the trash a lot less. So that's a win because my trash bin outside is further than my compost tumbler. Number 4 is arguably one of the most important on this entire list, and that is volunteering. Here's the thing, I know that one might sound kind of cheesy, but do you know how many people don't do it? Do you know how many organizations are desperate for volunteers to show up? The thing is that volunteering always sounds worse the night before or the morning of while you're getting ready. But then when you get there, you meet so many cool people, you have so much fun, and you gain so much hope in humanity, I swear. Because for some reason, at least in my area, every single volunteer event is hosted at 8 a.m. on a Saturday. Now, I'm a person who sleeps in pretty late, and I like to have slow mornings on the weekend. So getting somewhere by 8 a.m. is not always ideal, but it's worth it. I'm so serious. It's really, really, really worth it. Because I remember like the last tree planting event I went to, we were removing invasive species and planting native trees. I've been to other tree planting events. I know that they can be a little bit exhausting after a few hours. And while I was getting ready, I was dreading to go. I always like sign up like a month before because then I kind of forget about it and then it kind of rolls up on me. And then I feel too bad like backing out. So then I end up making myself go. And that's kind of what happened. I signed up in in advance. I was dreading going. And then I'll tell you what, this was one of the most fun I have had at a volunteer event. It was sweaty. It was dirty. And then actually a lot of the trees got washed away in a flood like a week after, which we're not going to talk about. But it was seriously so much fun. And if you can't get anybody to volunteer with you, I highly, highly recommend going alone. People who spend their days trying to better their community are so freaking nice. They're chatty, they're welcoming. I love talking to and meeting people at these volunteer events. And I'm going to be honest, I need to do more of this. I've kind of slowed down because it's been so cold. And I am also vowing here that I'm going to get back into my volunteer game a little bit more because it's super fun. I swear, like if you have climate anxiety, volunteering is one of the best medicines for it. Just getting out of the house, talking to people, actually doing something. It's the best. Go volunteer. I personally always just follow organizations I care about and wait for their volunteer opportunities. Also sign up for their e-newsletters. They typically send opportunities there. Or I go on United Ways a lot and just look up things going on in my area. And to piggyback off of that, joining an org in your city or town. So the thing about the climate movement is that this has been an ongoing fight. And because of that, chances are there's already a person or organization in your area already implementing these solutions or fighting for causes you care about. So if you're able to take it a step further, instead of just volunteering with them, you can also join organizations. I will be honest, the way I did this was not just Googling organizations near me. The thing is, a lot of these orgs are already stressed on resources. They're not doing a lot of SEO on their websites. They're not doing a lot of marketing. And so the way I found a lot in St. Louis is by picking one organization I already knew about and then going through their following list and see who they're following, and then finding another organization and then going through their following list and kind of seeing who they're following and finding another one, and then following them, seeing what they do, learning more about them, and then kind of finding ones that fit for me. And this doesn't always have to mean in person. I'm on a Young Friends board locally, which is basically an advisory board of an organization for young professionals, which is great. If you're like a teen or college student, definitely keep a lookout for those. But I'm also on a committee for an organization called Noki that's primarily based online. Even though everybody else on the committee lives all over the states, I was still able to connect with them and support their mission from my home. So if you don't have the time or the means to get out of your house all the time to support these orgs, you can also support them online. Okay, the next habit might seem irrelevant, but I promise it's not. And that is engaging in more chit chat. So the reason why I think this is a sustainable habit is because we can't work on these climate and sustainability initiatives without having really strong senses of community. So that means introducing yourself to your neighbors. I've been having to do a lot of that since moving. That means talking to people at volunteer events, talking to the person at your workout class, talking to the person in line at the farmer's market. And this doesn't mean you have to like harass and annoy people, but just engaging in chit chat and kind of rewiring your brain to where you don't get annoyed when people try to engage in chit chat with you as well. I think there was this big moment in time where people talked about just how much they hate small talk. It was almost like a meme at a certain point. And I think that actually kind of made us less connected. It was kind of harmful because it made people literally scared of each other, too scared to talk to each other, too afraid they might annoy somebody. When usually I leave these little conversations with people feeling so good or learning something new, either about the world or about them. So yeah, I highly encourage chit chat, whether if it's a neighbor, a coworker, a community member. I just highly encourage it. Okay, this one's kind of like a thing, I guess, but it projected me into having extremely more sustainable kitchen habits. And that is owning stasher bags. And the reason why I name drop stasher bags is because I have used other reusable Ziploc bags and they do not work. They do not work for me as well as stasher bags. I love the closure on a stasher bag. It actually feels secure and easy to close. You can freeze them, refrigerate them, microwave them. I love me a stasher bag. It's like the go-to. It's great for using it like a Tupperware container and storing things, heating up food in them, storing cut foods back in the fridge with them, storing prepped food in the freezer with them. And they are quite pricey, so they're definitely something I have built up my collection of over the years. But I don't know, if somebody asks you what you want for the holidays or your birthday or something, I definitely recommend saying a stasher bag. And kind of like the rags, just owning them and having them in really really accessible spaces in my kitchen has made me choose a reusable version of storing food every single time. Oh, also they're dishwasher safe, so you don't have to like actually really get in there. I just kind of open it up on the rack and stick it in there, and then I'll dry it on like an old like paper towel holder or something. They're great. They're great. I can't recommend them enough. Moving on, we have slow decorating. Okay, this one has changed my life actually like recently, very recently, because I just moved. So I kind of did this when I moved into my old place 2.5 years ago as well, but it's hitting me a lot more in this place because I have more rooms to fill with furniture and decor that I didn't already have. So the reason why this has changed my life is because it has been really hard to participate in slow decorating. And by slow decorating, I kind of mean living in kind of like this weird limbo phase of your home where you may not have every key furniture piece you want. Some rooms might look very bare, undecorated, not very you, but instead of getting things right away from Amazon, IKEA, Target, hot off the shelf, and stick it right in your home, problem solved in one day, it's kind of just sitting with it and curating your home over time with secondhand items or with things from small makers. For me personally, it's mostly secondhand items, and I'm shopping heavily on Facebook Marketplace and antique stores. But I will say, like, I just don't think I could have a home as cool if I didn't shop secondhand. I also don't think it would be my personal style, because how could it be, you know? Filling a space with furniture is extremely easy. You go out, you buy it, and you stick it in there. But with secondhand shopping, something's not curated for you in a perfect product photo or styled on a shelf or just being marketed to you at all. And so when you're shopping secondhand, you have to actually think to yourself if you like something. And I think that helps me actually incorporate my personal style into my home. But I will say it's really hard. Like, for example, I keep saying to my family, there is a coffee table shortage in this area, okay? There are no good coffee tables at the thrift stores, the antique stores, Facebook Marketplace. And I have been looking for weeks for a coffee table, and I desperately want one for the living room, and I just haven't found it. And so sometimes slow decorating, I'm not gonna lie, it can be really difficult and kind of frustrating, but when you do find the thing, oh my gosh. Like this chair, I was lucky enough to find this chair right before I moved. I had seen something similar-esque to this on Lemonade, and I saved it like maybe like 8 months ago, and I really wanted this to be like a hobby chair, a reading chair. And let me tell you, finding this for a fraction of the price on Facebook Marketplace felt so good. It also makes you never want to get rid of things because one, you truly like these items. You pick them out with no advertising, no styling, and two, it's like every time you think about maybe getting rid of it, you remember like the hunt and the find and just how exciting it was. And I just think slow decorating is better. It's worth the wait. Truly it is. Okay, this next one, I just decided I'm gonna kind of lump these two together, and I'm going to call the lump together spending my money locally and keeping my money local. So one thing I had on here was banking locally. Now, I guess you could say that's not really habit, it's just something I did, but I've always had a local bank. And then once I started finding out what big banks were investing in, aka the fossil fuel industry, I was extremely disappointed, not really surprised. But then three, I was like, oh my gosh, what is my bank doing with my money? And then I looked into it and found out they're just using it for community causes. And I was like, oh, okay, cool, we're good. So anyways, a great weekend activity would be taking the time to switch your money to a local bank or credit union. Because I have heard of people like being afraid to go into their bank because the people are really mean or whatever. I never had that fear. They're always so nice, so helpful. And my bank is always sponsoring like small local community events and like not big oil. So yeah, I guess that has changed my life just with like the peace of mind of knowing where my money lies. Because I think people work hard for their money. It should be going towards things they care about. And tied in with that is shopping locally. Now, shopping locally is nothing new for me. When I was 16, I had a job at Bob Evans. And then after a little while, I started working at a local shop. And then after that, I worked with small businesses exclusively up until I became a full-time content creator. So I worked with many types of small businesses, and I know how much choosing local and shopping small means to these people. I know what it means to the employees, to the owners, and to the community. When you shop small and specifically shopping locally, a big thing is, yes, keeping money within your community, because we know that for every dollar we spend with small businesses, more of that dollar stays in the local community than shopping with big box stores. And when you shop local, you get this community connection. Not all, but a lot of local shop owners, they do like to talk to you, they like to learn about you, and they want to make you feel valued because they actually care about your business. But two, these are people who specialize in whatever they sell typically. They are out there trying to curate the best of their category. If they own a clothing shop, they're looking for the best styles for you, the best quality for you. If they own a cookware shop, they're looking for what's working the best, what's the best bang for your buck, and they're looking for things that'll last you a really long time. There's just a lot more care that goes into it. And shopping locally has improved the quality of things I buy. It has helped control the volume of products I buy, aka I'm buying less, typically because it's a little more expensive. But also the great news is I don't have to buy quite as much because the things I'm getting last longer, or they're more versatile and unique. And the very last thing on this list, which for me has been the sustainable habit that has most impacted my life, is talking about sustainability and climate. For me, this was talking about it online, but I also mean talking about it with other people. Nothing makes me feel more hopeful than getting to chat with other people about it. And obviously, thanks to you guys, of course, my life has been changed, because I'll tell you what, I don't know if I would be able to have any other job where I couldn't just yap about sustainability all day. I don't know what else I would do. What else would I even talk about? This is like my thing. This is what I care about. And being able to connect with other people, educate other people, and motivate them to try new things and think differently. I mean, that has by far, more than anything on this list, changed my life. So if you care about something, please keep talking about it. We don't talk about some of these issues enough. But if you've watched this far, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and if you did, be sure to subscribe. And oh my gosh, wait, I have announcements. Okay, ready for your morning announcements? Number one, I am going to South by Southwest to host a climate action meetup on March 11th. If you're going to the conference, I hope to see you there. But if you're not going to the conference, and if you didn't already know, I also use my platform to host free community events focused around climate and sustainability. These events have only ever happened in St. Louis, but for the first time, I am hosting an event somewhere else, and that is in Austin, Texas during South by Southwest. It's a 100% free event, and it is a climate cafe happening on Wednesday, March 12th. So if you live in the area or you'll be in the area, follow me on Instagram and stay tuned for more updates, because there will be an RSVP going out about the event. I'm so excited to take one of my free community events to another state, and hopefully in the future we can do so many more wherever you live. And announcement number two, if you want to find out more ways to get involved in the climate and sustainability movement, one great way is doing things like calling your representatives and signing petitions. But if you don't know how, or you don't know what to call or email about, I oftentimes post video talking about different causes you can reach out to your representatives for, but I have no great way to put them on YouTube Shorts because there's not a simple way for me to link to these petitions for you all. So please, if you are interested, follow me on TikTok, follow me on Instagram, wherever you are, so you can find those videos and get involved, sign those petitions, contact your representatives, because those videos will only live on those platforms until I find a better way to link to things on YouTube. Okay, that's it. Love you.